What up, everybody? My name's Impractical, and we're going to be starting off 2025 with a prediction video for the year. That's right, I'm predicting that this is going to be the year of IDW comics in Sonic Speed Simulator, and I am super excited to share with you why. All right, for a lot of you who aren't aware, the Sonic the Hedgehog IDW comics series is actually being publicated by IDW themselves. They're actually working in partnership with Sonic Team and Sega themselves. Now, what makes this especially huge is that unlike the Archie series, IDW Comics is also being translated by Sega of Japan for the Japanese audience, which is super cool because even our Japanese fans over there get to enjoy the comic format that is IDW. And what's even bigger to note is that every design character that is being shown in these comics are especially owned by Sega. So that means they have every right to utilize them in any of their games moving forward since its initial release. That's especially huge because a lot of fans are huge fans of Archie comics, but because Sega doesn't own any of the character designs and, well, any of the plot that is given in that series, it can't be used in any publication. So unfortunately, sad, but the good thing is anything that IDW drops, Sega is free to use, meaning Sonic Speed Simulator is also allowed to use if Sega gives them the permission. Now with the who out of the way, let's get into the why we will be getting more IDW comic characters in Sonic Speed Simulator. First up, Super Neo Metal Sonic. That's right, he first debuted in IDW Comics, and then his first debut in video game was actually Sonic Speed Simulator, which is pretty crazy because you'd think you would see him somewhere else before Speed Sim, but nope, we got him first. Now, he debuted in issue number 9 in IDW Comics, and his debut was especially important because Eggman is gone. The premise of the story is that the Egg forces are decimated. They're pretty much all over the place after the defeat of Eggman in Sonic Forces. Now, of course, Metal Sonic steps up like the prodigal son he is and takes over the Eggman Empire, and of course gets himself back his Neo Metal form. And to top it all off, takes over Angel Island and gives himself the Master Emerald to use it to power himself up to his Super Neo form, which is insane. And just in one page, Super Neo Metal makes it very clear that they don't stand a chance. Next up, we're going to be going over Phantom Rider Sonic Unmasked. Now, if a lot of you don't know, this is our second IDW character to debut in the game, who came through the limited eggs. Kind of a waste, but it's okay. He is here now, and I have to say I do love seeing this design in the 3D format. So this outfit originally debuted in issue 70 in the comics, and I gotta say the entire arc is focused around extreme gears and competition, and everyone's rider outfit is amazing in this arc, and I can't wait to see it come into the game. So if you don't know, the masked version, it looks even better with the hologram scarf and the complete helmet on top. Sonic has the complete fit. Now, the best thing about this, I have to say, is the fact that we have the unmasked version, giving some idea or a hint of that we're going to get a masked version later on in the future, but more on that later on in the video. Last but not least, we have Tangle the Lemur. Now, Tangle is a huge fan favorite. She's often paired inside of the comic books with Whisper. Now, this is a really big thing because folks are also expecting Whisper to come in the game because Tangle has debuted with the Zone Autumn Forest. Again, a character and a zone originating from the comics. It's a huge thing. Tangle's first appearance is in issue number 4 in the comics, and her debut was pretty wild. You see her taking on a horde of badniks all by herself. Of course, she clumsily got rid of them, but fortunately Sonic was there to show up to save her last minute before she was taken out by one of the badniks. Now, what makes this interesting is the fact is her personally comes off as almost an exact mirror of Sonic's, like an identical copy, but not so much. What I mean by that is that she is very free-spirited and always there, moving around and ready to go into a fight. She is just as fast and loose as Sonic. Remember those riders outfits I mentioned? Well, take a look at Tangle's. This is again on the cover of issue 70. It's amazing to see because you can see this design carrying over into Sonic Speed Simulator. Again, Sonic Speed Simulator has not shied away from using other Sonic designs or inspiration of other designs and outfits from other series or other games. What makes this especially interesting is the fact is that this comic book has a lot of material that the devs can work with and then especially incorporate it into Sonic Speed Simulator. adding more excitement to this already great news of how much Sonic Speed Sim can benefit from working with IDW on more content for the game. Well, take a look at this tweet from Strike. He is one of the Speed developers. He works on designing and modeling a lot of the characters. Again, great work. You guys really should appreciate what this guy does, because he has an amazing portfolio for such a young age. It is amazing. But his tweet goes, I had the honor of making Phantom Rider for his first ever video game appearance in Sonic Speed Simulator. Helmet coming soon. Now this is huge because he doesn't specify that it will be Sonic under that hood. A lot of you may not know this, but in the recent issues in IDW Comics, we have ourselves an imposter. That's right. Sonic came out of here as Phantom Rider, and of course we have an imposter in the form of one of the characters, the big bad's Mimic. Now, looking at this particular page from issue 71, you can see clearly that there are two Phantom Riders. The one on the left with the orange visors, that is Mimic. He has his, of course, trademark scarf around his neck. The extreme gear is pretty interesting to look at, very bulky hoverboard. And on the right is Sonic. You can tell that one because it has a red visor lens, and of course the egg hoverboard or extreme gear he has been using in a few of those panels. Now the thing is, it wasn't specified which mass version are we getting. Are we getting the imposter, which is Mimic's, or are we getting Sonic's? Now this brings up the possibility that we could have both introduced to the game at different points, or just one, not the other. If you want stronger evidence, look no further than to Autumn Forest Zone. This zone in particular is amazing because it's his first video game appearance. Of course, this zone in particular debuted first in the IDW comics, and here we are seeing it in 3D, and it's really beautiful, expansive, and captures the zone perfectly. Now, it was stated that the team worked with an artist or one of the artists for IDW Comics to make sure of accuracy and authenticity of this zone, but I have to say they did a really amazing job on it, and it leads to the possibilities of we're gonna have more from them in the future. I mean, come on, this didn't even come out with anything seasonal. This just dropped in along with Tangle during the year of Shadow. And this was our third IDW debut, which is a pretty big thing, especially an entire zone. And one of the bandmates here, the Acorns, are actually from the comics themselves. I wouldn't be surprised, or I would expect at this point to see even more coming from the dev team in regards to IDW comic representation. Let's not forget about all the fanfare and chatter when Tangle debuted in the game, as well as Phantom Rider Sonic Unmasked. It led to the thought and a lot of discussion of Surge and Whisper coming into the game. Now, these two characters have already debuted in a video game format. Sonic Forces Speed Battles is one of them that I can think of off the top of my head, but the fact is they had a video game representation, and they also have alternate costumes in those games. Seeing them come into Sonic Speed Simulator will be such an easy fit. It's just plug and go with them. Now, I can see a lot of fanfare over this and excitement drawing in, especially the way they'll be debuted, but that's up for the dev teams to decide on how they want to go about that process. And that about wraps it up with everything I have to say about the potential of having an IDW Sonic Speed Simulator year. Now, this doesn't get into more theory, more evidence, and pointing towards that direction, or I could just be completely nuts and losing my mind at the start of the year. Who knows it? But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you see this as a strong possibility leading up, or do you have a completely different take on what this year can bring? I'm interested on listening to you, so hit me up in the comments and I'll see you there. And thank you so much for sticking around and watching my video. I'll see all of you in the next video. Bye bye.